Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. This is my first video back on YouTube. I had a channel before that was small and it just had to do with luxury purses and handbags and unboxings. I'm done with that for now. Haven't been buying handbags, not that much, so not enough to share. But anyways, I wanted to start my YouTube channel again, but something different. Something that I have been struggling with my whole life, that I feel like a lot of people also struggle with, and it's just kept quiet, or not a lot of people talk about it. And I mean, it's hard for me just to talk to a camera right now, even though I know I'm just talking to a camera. It's hard for me to do it because I have a significant amount of anxiety. I was born with anxiety. I've had it my entire life, and I would say it's more on the severe side, just because it does impact my everyday life. And it started out when I was little as social anxiety. So at school, it would be not wanting to talk to people or be scared to talk to people, scared to raise my hand for roll call, scared to win an award and walk up to receive it, you know, those type of things where my face would get flush and I would tremble. And I would always hide behind my parents or my brother when we had to go to like a friend's house or a family event. It was, I remember it being really bad. I was really shy. My parents would just tell everyone I was painfully shy. And that's how it's always been my childhood. As an adult, it kind of shifted. I still had social anxiety where I would go, like, say, to the nail salon, and I would feel in a panic for no reason. Feel like, you know, interacting with the nail tech lady was so difficult when literally it's the easiest thing. But for me, it felt like the hardest thing. Just having eyes on me for some reason. I dreaded it. Going to the mall, I would dread, you know, someone looking over at me or getting attention. I couldn't cope with getting attention. Even though I would dress up nice and, you know, pick my favorite handbag so that I would feel better about myself, but I didn't like the looks I would get. And that bothered me. But yeah, also going to the doctors would be another really big anxiety. My heart would race. Like, every time I would get my blood pressure taken, they would tell me that my heart rate is really high. And that's always the case. Whenever I go to the dentist or the doctor, my heart starts beating super fast. And it's just, it sucks. It really sucks. So as an adult, I started to get more so generalized anxiety, where I would have fears of death. Death was always like my top thing I worried about every day, or cancer. Both of my parents died of cancer, so I think that has a lot to do with it. So every ache, every pain that I would get, I would think, oh my God, it's cancer. I'm gonna die. And I would have so many trips to the doctors thinking that I was dying of something. And then fear of driving. So I do not drive. Driving has always been a huge factor in my life, and it feels so debilitating that I, at my age, do not drive. For somebody my age, it is really debilitating not to be able to drive, but literally when I get behind the wheel of the car, my heart pounds so hard. I feel panicked. I white knuckle the steering wheel so hard. and I feel like I'm gonna crash. There's just something that overtakes me, and I cannot do it. I'm even a worse passenger. I always freak out whenever we're too close to the car ahead of us. I constantly think that we're gonna get into a car accident. Yeah, I'm the one of those that constantly bothers the driver. So my husband really hates that. I've driven him crazy so many times. He's bought me so many cars in an attempt for me to drive them, and I don't. Like, one time he bought me one for Christmas, and I was literally pissed. And who gets pissed by someone buying them a brand new car for Christmas? But I do, because I hate driving. I fear it. The reason why driving is such a huge factor for me with anxiety. And it does have to do with my past, my childhood. My father he's deceased now, but he was an alcoholic, and he drank every single morning before he got ready. So when he woke up, the first thing he would do is put whiskey in his coffee. He would drive drunk every day. My mom did not drive. She was from the Philippines. She came down from the Philippines to marry my dad, and she never learned how to drive. When he tried to teach her, there was always a huge fight between the two of them because he would scare her. So she would be practicing driving in a parking lot. I would be in the back seat, and he was drunk, of course, so he would make up things that she would almost hit. Like, he would scare her and say, watch out, you're gonna hit this, or you're gonna hit that person, and don't you see them right there? And she would get so angry, and they would fight so badly, and then she would just say, I'm done, and get out of the car. I don't know if that was his way of controlling her to where she was dependent on him, or if it was his alcohol abuse, but that was a huge trigger for me growing up. So whenever I attempt to drive, I get so stiff. Like, my neck gets stiff, my jaw clenches, I tremble, my heart races. I don't want that to be my story anymore. I don't want anxiety to control me anymore. That's why I decided to start this channel and maybe help others, help others see, that they're not alone, and maybe get some tips from other people. I have tried therapy, counseling, and different medications, several different SSRI medications. I was on one for several years. They tend to have a lot of side effects for me personally. I've tried so many different ones. And when they take away your emotions and you no longer feel anything, you don't feel joy, you don't feel sadness, it's really hard, and for me it wasn't a pleasant feeling. And I felt like it also took away my reaction time to things. So I would see something about to happen, but I was so slow to react to it on those type of medications. I don't know if it's just because I haven't found the right one. I am on one currently that has given me the courage to start doing YouTube again, which we'll see how that goes. I don't have a lot of panic attacks. That's not something that I get a lot of, thankfully. There have been a few times where I've been on the verge of feeling panicked, but mostly it's just fear and anxiety that I deal with. You can even hear it in my voice right now as I'm trying to make this video, because it's my first one and I'm not used to it. So yeah, it's not easy for me. It fucking sucks. Anyone who has to deal with this bullshit anxiety, I feel for you 100% because this is so debilitating, and you know, my husband doesn't have it at all, and so he tries his best to see where I'm coming from, but you know, to see him be able to do things without the constant indecisiveness or worry, I wish I was like that. I really do. Nobody really understands it unless they're going through it. One of my children has anxiety also, and so I can really resonate and see myself in him. And I don't want that for him. I don't want the lifestyle I led to be his story. My other two children, thankfully, aren't as anxious. My daughter especially is very independent, like her father. I'm super duper happy for her that she doesn't have what I have, because it really is a mental illness. And it needs treatment. It can't go untreated. You can't wish it away. You can't, yes, therapy helps in a lot of ways, and doing meditation and finding ways to calm yourself. But when you've been dealing with it for this long, medication is the number one treatment or solution to really feel like a normal person. And I'm just working on finding the right one for me. So also in my early teens, I formed an eating disorder, and I had an eating disorder for quite a few years. I do believe it was my need for control, so to be able to control something in my life, because I felt like everything else was so out of control for me that was the only thing that I could do to feel normal for myself, is to control that aspect. And a lot of people do suffer from eating disorders that have anxiety. Mostly it was bulimia, but I did have anorexia as well, where I did limit my food quite a bit. I got down to about 95 pounds at my smallest weight. And that's when I lost my period for a couple of years. It took quite a few years for me to be able to get out of this, gain the healthy amount of weight, and then I was able to get pregnant and I had my son. This is not easy to talk about. So, what else do I want to say? This is just a little bit about me. I can definitely go more into detail about my past or my life. I'm a wife, I'm a mother, I have 3 beautiful children and a husband that I've been with for 22 years, since we were in high school. And I want to start this channel for those of us who suffer from anxiety, or just somebody to watch. I have a few things that I'm going to be posting about. I did a BBL, so my BBL journey. Yeah, that was a lot of nerve-wracking for me to go through, because it is a very risky surgery, and I did manage to have that done because of the anxiety medication that I'm taking. Otherwise, if I wasn't taking some type of anxiety medication, I would not have undergone surgery. There's just no way. So yeah, this channel is going to be about me facing my fears, talking about my struggles, and you know, just my daily life and what I go through. Maybe I want to document me trying to drive, trying to tackle that aspect of my goals for myself, to be able to drive. I know it sounds ridiculous. There's literally 15-year-olds out there that are driving, and yet I am in my 30s and I cannot it feels like such a heavy weight or a roadblock for me, and I don't want that to be the case anymore. So I want to conquer that, and I'm going to do everything in my power to do that. I need to do that for myself and for my children and for my husband, because he does so much. There's so much that he has to do because I choose not to drive, and it's not fair. And I know it's not fair, and I feel like shit for not helping in that aspect. So I try other ways to do everything I can to help him and take the burden off of him for things while he tackles that one aspect. But it's a big aspect. To not be able to drive is really taxing and dependent, and I want to be independent, and I don't want to live like a dependent anymore. I don't. So I hope that you guys liked this first video. It's just a little bit about me as a person, what I suffer with, and what I want to change. What I want to change moving forward. And if anyone out there feels the same way and want to keep watching my videos, that would be great. If you have tips for me, leave them down in the comments below and I will talk to you there. Alright, well, that was it. So it wasn't so bad, right? Okay, bye.